Okay, so now we're going to start number 26. Um, Basically, it's the same lesson, so it's a video just for 26. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and the document's still open. It's the same document. You're just adding on to the bottom. And we're going to take a look at 26. So, first thing it does is ask you a question. Let's see, on this one, set background to black, which it did, make a new world sprite at this location. And if you don't understand the numbers are basically, if I put this thing on the center right here, this is the center of the sprite. And that's where these numbers come from. If you notice that they start to appear right there. So that's going to be super important when we start programming objects. So set world size to 200. Okay, so they're setting the size of the character or the sprite. Then sprite world begins mystery behavior. So I guess there's something missing. So click the edit button to see how the mystery behavior works. Study the code inside, make a prediction. So I'm going to go ahead and click it because that's what it's asking me to do. Mystery behavior with this sprite, change this sprite size by -1. So if we're dealing with math, it's going to shrink. And it's not going to shrink a lot, but it's going to shrink. So I'm going to close this and I'll answer the thing. It will shrink and I punch run and sure enough, oh okay. So basically it's just going to keep fading in and out or fading out as if you're on an air spacecraft, sorry. I know it's really early in the morning. Number 2. Let's take a look at number 2 real quick and then I'll turn you guys loose. Um, Fly the rocket to the stars, change the behavior of the rocket so that it flies upward in the display area. That's pretty simple. So make a new star sprite at, and if you look at the location, that's where it's at. Um, and it's actually right here in the middle, I'm sorry. So it tells you exactly which ones are which. Now you remember always you have to tell the computer what you're working with right at the beginning. Don't try to put it in the middle of the code. It'll work in the middle of the code, but it just looks more organized if you put it at the beginning. Uh, so we're gonna set the smaller stars to the size of 75, and we never really set the larger star. So I guess it just defaults to a certain size. So you make a new spacecraft sprite at 200, 150, and this is just to explain to you a little bit better, this is kind of like the XY axis. You can actually see it if I let me see if I can pull this a little bit more. But if you see that it says X for the big star, it's at X 200, 350 is the center. So right about there is the center of the star, but it's just an XY axis. I mean, and that's why we always say that math and computer science ties in together because you do use math. And let's see. So sprite will begins flying. So change the behavior of the rocket so that it flies upwards. Well, so let's go ahead and go to edit. Flying with this sprite, move this sprite 3 pixels south. South would be down, so I would think north because we're dealing with north, south, east, and west. And those are just your cardinal directions. So I'm going to go ahead and close it. Now, nothing changes out here. It was inside the code that changed. And I'm going to punch run and see if that actually works. And it did. So this is the way you change your direction. So I'm going to let you go ahead and work on some more by yourself. But if you have any questions, just feel free to get a hold of me.